Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks for sticking around for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. Give us a call tonight at 412-575-2600 is the number. Brian Batko will join me tonight talking about the Bucs. Our Steelers know-it-all. Also, from what I'm hearing, Brian, you want to change your last name to Ketchup now.
Caleb Ketchup from the Washington Wild Things. I don't know how I missed that, Rich. I think my 6-year-old's going to have a new favorite player, although he might prefer 6'7" as his number instead of 57, but that's pretty cool, Ketchup getting 57.
Yeah, I think all young kids between the ages of, 5 and 17 would love the last name Ketchup.
How's his fastball? Can you put some mustard on it? You got some hot cheese?
Good one. I like it. Also a comedian, Steelers beat writer plus comedian. But we're going to be talking about the Pirates here tonight, Brian. What I don't understand, the bullpen is a disaster. We know that. But I feel like Don Kelly hasn't been great. If you put a war on a manager, I don't even know what his would be. I think they're overthinking things instead of just letting guys go out there and play. You know, one of the problems I have right now is they're too concerned with the lefty-righty matchup, also too concerned with pitchers pitching one inning, the pitch count. What happened to the guys? What happened to Dotel being a guy that can pitch 2 or 3 innings? What happened to guys, middle relievers like that? Now it seems like we got your starter going 5 or 6, if they can go 6, and then we got a 6th inning guy, 7th inning guy, an 8th inning guy, and a 9th inning guy. And then what happens in the 10th inning? Why can't we have a couple guys that can go multiple innings?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a distinction to be made, Rich.
Yeah, I guess everything's going to be criticized. I think maybe my biggest problem is with tonight, not only the intentional walk, and I get why you do it, but there's an intentional walk and then there's a bunt in the 10th inning. Let the guys hit. Those are two things that I kind of disagree with. Like, for example, the other night, pulling Bubba Chandler, 1 out. Let him go. Let him try to finish that inning. And you bring in a guy, and ultimately you lose to the Yankees.
Yeah, and I hate to kind of do the whole once it's over, it's easy to say hindsight is 20/20, right? You don't always want to.
But that's our job,
right? Yeah,
that's what we do.
It is, but you also it's incumbent on the manager to have a feel for the game and know what he's getting into when he makes those decisions. You're right, Rich. Our job is to give our opinions on whether it worked or we know whether it worked or not, or whether it should have been done or not. His job, and he makes a lot more money than us to do it, is to get it right in the moment. And I know we can't always know, but that's ultimately what separates sometimes the teams that make it into the postseason and those that get to enjoy Bucktober and the ones that are going to be left out in the cold.
They're not completely out of it. I mean, I still have faith. They're, 2 games back. Arizona did win.
You just look back on games like this
yes.
that were on a razor's edge, and then you're going to be sitting there if they don't make it and say, geez, it would have been nice to beat the Cubs on that Friday night in late July.
Yeah, and you look back at games like that doubleheader, the second game last Saturday in Cleveland. That was a game that they should have won, and they didn't. Dennis Santana. You look back at multiple other blown saves. They've 18 of them this year. So if you don't blow maybe 7 of them, maybe you just have 11 blown saves, you're in a much better spot right now. And I think if you had a different bullpen, if you made some moves earlier or tried to figure it out a little bit earlier, maybe you're not in this situation. They got it. I keep saying we're getting too late because August 3rd is in a week and a half. So you might as well wait to try to get the best deal you can. But I'm afraid they're not going to get any deal. I want them to be buyers, but they're not going to. I feel like the Pirates, the Archer trade was one, but it didn't work out. They never make those splash trades. They never make a trade where you're like, wow, they're really going for it.
Yeah, and now it's becoming more of a Ben Cherington discussion than anything Don Kelly related. I think tonight they certainly had the pieces in place to get that victory, at least from the pitching standpoint. And I don't want to turn it to the bats because by and large this year the bats have been fine. They've been better than fine. They've been the reason for optimism. But yeah, I know when you look back at so many of these games that they've squandered, if they would have had a fortified bullpen, maybe it goes a little bit differently. And certainly the guy that they brought in as part of the Jacob Gonzalez trade has not exactly been a plus for the bullpen, Eisert. So you're still left wanting there from that perspective, no doubt.
All right, don't forget about our Penn West University question tonight. Will the Pirates be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? They have to be buyers. When you're within 2 games and there's a couple teams in the mix, obviously the Marlins are still in the mix, the Nationals are still in the mix, maybe the Padres are still in the mix, and you have Arizona and St. Louis all kind of fighting. with Chicago and Philadelphia. So you got those teams basically in the mix for 3 spots.
Yeah,
the Pirates have the best offense,
right?
And their starters
coming
are pretty
along.
reliable.
I was going to say, you look on the bright side of tonight's game, Rich. I mean, Jared Jones really sharp again, and you feel better about the way he's progressing after a rocky start this season.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Keller's coming off a pretty good start. You have Skeens going tomorrow. He's your skid stopper, your slide stopper. He's a guy that should win and continue what he's doing. Then you have Braxton Ashcraft, another all-star. You got to feel pretty good about who you're putting out there against the Cubs. This was just a winnable game, and I feel like they just fell a little bit short. So we'll see what happens. They have to take, in my opinion, they don't have to, but it would be nice to take 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, then go into the Arizona homestand and hopefully take 2 out of 3 against them. This needs to be, at worst, a 3-3 homestand. At worst.
It's always disappointing to lose to the Cubs, but especially on the first night of Yinzer Palooza in a game like this that had so many winnable opportunities.
Yeah. All right, 412-575-2600 is the number. We're going to take a break. Back in a couple minutes with the phone calls. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. This is from Alex Stump. In the Pirates' last 6 losses, a reliever took the loss in 4 of those. That's not too good. And then look, Brian, I don't really want to bash Don Kelly. I don't want to get on that bash Don Kelly train. But I will say this. Let's give him a little bit of runway and a leeway, right? This is really his first full year in managing. And, I just happened to, Moneyball happened to be on the other day, and I was watching it. And it makes you think, like, hey, maybe it's not all Don Kelly. Ben Cherington has to be pulling some of these strings as to why Bubba Chandler is only pitching 80 and some odd pitches, and you got Jared Jones with 80. So you have to take him out. You got to watch his pitch count, and that's basically his job too.
Yeah, and also lineup decisions. I know people get frustrated sometimes at who he's got out there, especially those quote-unquote Sunday lineups at times. And, I mean, that's also just the way of the world now in baseball. I mean, how many guys still play 162 games? They want to take mileage off of these players, the load management discussion that is all over sports. So I think that's not even just a GM type of thing, although I guess it all funnels down from the GM. It's analytics to an extent. It's the metrics that people are putting on there. Speaking of load management, Rich, I'm kind of curious, do people here have opinions on LeBron James going to the other side of the state, joining the 76ers?
Brian, I just have an opinion on he gave up about $100 million. That just goes to show you how much money he has.
2 years, $8 million.
Yeah. I mean,
the deal he signed. That's like a backup offensive lineman in the NFL.
Yeah, he's playing with some good guys.
Made that decision today, and it's probably going to be his final season. It gives me Jordan to the Wizards vibes, though.
Yeah, I thought he'd go back to Cleveland.
It just seems so random. Like, I was hoping for Cleveland would have had good storylines. The Warriors would have had good storylines if he played with Steph Curry, even if he went back to
Miami.
The Heat. Yeah, I thought those all would have been more interesting than random Philadelphia foray, but maybe he just wanted to be in our great state, Rich.
They probably. I don't blame him. We're going to go out to Bob in Katanning. How you doing, Bob?
Yeah, I think the game was won if we had a manager. Why wasn't Mangum suicide squeeze when the bases were loaded? He's the best bunter on the team, in the major leagues.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about the 5th inning. The 5th inning, bases loaded, no outs. And that's when Henry Davis, that infield single, won. Now, they could have broke it open in that inning, and they didn't. I mean, if you're going to bunt, maybe now that's the time to bunt, right, Brian?
I mean, teams don't, I guess, also in the analytics age, you brought up Moneyball earlier, bring it up again. I mean, teams don't really like to bunt a lot these days, although ironically, they do it later in the game. And then, of course, it becomes, why didn't you let them swing away? So that's what I meant in the first segment, Rich, when I said it can be easy sometimes to just, you judge it off of the results as opposed to the actual process of the decision making. But I don't know. I'm not sitting at home watching the game with all of you out there, all of our fine listeners. Maybe you did say in the moment, don't walk PCA, or maybe you did say in the moment, bunt him right now and Mangum in the 5th. So that's what makes it fun. That's what makes for good debate. And ultimately, though, when too many of those go the wrong way, that's what ultimately makes for criticism of your manager.
Yeah, in just a couple months, you and I are going to be questioning McCarthy why he's running on 2nd and long.
Yeah, why didn't he go for it on 4th down? Why did he punt? Well, it's easy to say if the guy runs it back for a touchdown that it was the wrong move.
Let's go out to Bert and Ross Traver. How you doing, Bert?
Okay, guys, thanks. Yeah, the Pirates, from what I've seen of them, obviously they need a better bullpen, but primarily I think there's two things. One is they need a closer. They have to get a good closer. That guy you guys were talking about, maybe they can get him. I don't know. But secondarily, it just seems to me like they don't stack up well with the other teams when it comes to physical conditioning. I don't know exactly what it is when it comes to that, but it just seems like they really don't come off as well in that regard.
Yeah. Hey, Bert, thanks for I agree with the point of needing a closer and a reliever. I don't know about the physical conditioning. But as for a closer, Mason Miller, I think, is out of the question, right? I mean, Brian, are you giving that much up for a guy that pitches 1 inning? Maybe you don't even get to that inning if you don't have 3 other guys that can get you there.
It'd certainly be great to have the hometown kid.
Are you only saying that because he's from Pittsburgh? Because that's kind of what I feel like. What if he was from Oklahoma?
Right.
Does everyone else want him?
It wouldn't. No, let's be honest. It wouldn't be the same buzz if he wasn't from here. But he is, and he is great at what he does right now. But yeah, there's always the discussion of the value of any reliever, even a closer. I can't see it happening because of, again, what it's going to take to get him and just generally the way that the Pirates go about these trade deadlines. And also, to be fair to them, they're hovering around the wild card line. It's not like this is a team that is 1 chip away from being a legitimate World Series contender. I don't think. You could argue with me if you want. But I guess I'd feel a lot better about kind of selling the farm for a Mason Miller if their record looked a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you because I don't want to sell the farm. I want to see them get into the playoffs and get some momentum maybe heading into next year. But I'm not going to sell the farm for this year because I still think they need more parts, and maybe you go out and get those pieces in the offseason. Let's go out to Bill in Shippensville. How you doing, Bill?
I want to talk about this situation where after 9 innings you put a guy on second base. That's kind of bush league to me. I mean, these guys are grown men making millions of dollars. It kind of falls in the same situation with Kelly's management. The guy's humming along. He's got 5 innings or 6 innings, and he takes them out. So, I mean... Yeah.
Bill, this was less about the unions. They've been doing this for a couple years. This was more about speeding up play. That's why there's a pitch clock, and that's why they're limiting challenges. They don't want these games. If you remember, Brian, 10 years ago, we were probably doing this show. At least I was doing this show, and they were in the 6th inning. You don't want those 4-hour games by Clint Hurdle and 4.5 or whatever it might be. They want to speed them up. You want 2.5-hour games. You want to get people in and out of here. And it is kind of quirky. I never really liked it, but you're used to it now. I mean, if you're going to do extra innings, maybe you don't even do extra innings. Maybe you do a home run derby or something to finish, or just end in a tie or whatever it is.
Yeah, on nights like this where the Cubs win it with that, it does feel cheapened, I suppose. And then you get calls like this to the nightly sports call where people don't like it. But for the most part, I'm fine with them. With you, Ray. I think a lot of things need to be shorter or just not so interminably long sometimes. So I'm good with, you even look at other sports, I'm okay with the way NHL does it now. I mean, you looked at penalty kicks in the World Cup were deciding games. So especially in the regular season in baseball, I think it's okay. It's not win or go home. You want to get these guys off their feet if you can, rather than play another. It's the Jerry Meals game anniversary coming up. You talk about
I remember that
interminable games.
I mean, you do ties in hockey, and you can do a point system. I don't know how much you change it. Hey, I'm a big 10U softball dad, and they do 2 hours drop dead. That's how they play. I mean, I know that's kind of quirky if we're thinking outside of the box, and if you want to keep it a 2-hour game, you say 2 hours, and then we finish the inning, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the ghost runner type of deal because I just think you want to start sparking some things, and if you can get games done in 10 or 11 innings rather than 14 or 15, I think that's good for everybody involved. Yeah,
no question about it. All right, Brian, we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back, Brian. Ray was just telling me a little bit about how the Savannah Bananas and the rules of that league, that maybe Major League Baseball should implement some of those. Obviously, there's a time limit for those games, but I didn't know you could steal first. That's a pretty crazy rule. And then also, when you get later in games, they take players off the field to get runs. It sounds exciting to me.
So you got like 2 outfielders there.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite of the old beer league softball where you've got four people out there. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. In all seriousness, to go back to the previous caller, I mean, both teams are dealing with the same situation with the automatic runner. So I'm okay with it. The teams know that going in. So I think it's all right.
It's like football starting on the 20 or the 25 or whatever it is. All right, real quick, Drew Aller signed today. Does he make this team? I know it's early. We got a few days before training camp starts. Is he 100% on this team?
Yeah, whether it's the 53-man roster or, of course, if he gets injured, they do what they did with Will Howard last year and put him on injured reserve because you want to have him in there for the development.
Who's the odd man out?
If I had to guess right now, I'd say Mason Rudolph, but I think we're going to have to just let it play out in camp, Rich.
Let it play out starting Tuesday and Wednesday next week. I'll see you out there. Thanks a lot, Brian.
See ya.
I'll see you later, and I'll also see you guys on KDK News in just a couple minutes.